Hi guys, welcome to Rosenfield 10. I'm here to present my final NFL mock draft for 2024. This is only 2 days before the draft. Figured I'd give you guys one more to look at before the real thing happens. Now, I'm a Saints fan and I normally cover the Saints. Today I'm going to do a 2-round mock draft for the entire NFL, including trades. I figured I would take a shot at it. I was going to do just the first round, and then I figured, no, too much activity going on here. Let's bring it around with 2 rounds. The Saints have a first-round pick and a second-round pick. I wasn't going to go further than 2 rounds. Altogether, I believe I made 5 trades total involving a handful of teams. So let's get it started. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up 5 picks at a time, and we'll talk about it. So, first 5 picks in the draft. There we go. Chicago picking number 1. They're going to grab quarterback Caleb Williams out of USC. No surprise here. With the number 2 overall pick, I have Washington taking quarterback Jaden Daniels out of LSU. At number 3, New England's going to stick and pick and grab quarterback Drake May out of North Carolina. No big surprises here. Some people think New England may want to trade out. I think they need a quarterback. I think New England's one of those teams where, their current quarterback situation could change for the better, but I think they need a quarterback. I don't think they want to mess around anymore, so Washington, I think, would be one that would trade down and probably have more success without a new quarterback next year than New England. But Washington's not going to pass up on Jaden Daniels. I don't think New England should pass on Drake May. There's the question of J.J. McCarthy, but then at number 4, I've got Arizona sticking and picking with Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State. Shouldn't be a big surprise there. And at number 5, we have a trade. San Diego, Los Angeles is going to be the one to trade down with the Minnesota Vikings. And the Vikings are going to come up to number 5 and pick J.J. McCarthy. So, details of the trade. Minnesota trades their number 11 overall in the first round and number 23 overall in the first round and a 2025 second round pick. Now, Minnesota just wanted to do a third round pick next year, but the Chargers were able to get that second round next year because the Chargers threw in a 4th round pick from this year to make the deal happen. So instead of getting 2 1s and a 3, the Chargers will get 2 1s and a 2, and they'll have to part with round 4, pick 110 as a result. But Minnesota picks up an extra pick for this draft, and they get their guy in J.J. McCarthy. I don't think anything too crazy yet. Let's pull up the next 10. The New York Giants are going to stick and pick at number 6 with wide receiver Malik Nabers out of LSU. Then Tennessee is going to stay at pick 7, and they're going to take offensive tackle Joe Alt. Now, when Atlanta's pick comes up at pick 8, they have a trade offer with the Indianapolis Colts, and Atlanta goes ahead and takes it. I don't see a lot of people predicting Atlanta trading down. But here's the details of the trade. Atlanta's going to trade down from pick 8 to pick 15 with the Indianapolis Colts. They're going to get the Colts' second round pick 46 overall, and they're going to get a 4th round pick in 2025. The Indianapolis Colts were kind of wanting to part with a 5th next year. I got a 4th out of them, but Atlanta's going to have to throw in the 6th-round pick 197 to make that future pick a 4th. But this is the deal that goes through. Both teams agree. And Indianapolis moves up to pick 8. And Atlanta picks up an extra 2nd-round pick, and they're only dropping 7 spots. Indianapolis moves up to pick 8, and they take cornerback Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo, and Quinyon Mitchell becomes the first defensive player off the board. So, interesting move for my division rival Falcons. And the Colts get their man. At pick 9, Chicago is getting wide receiver Rome Odunze out of Washington. So now they have their quarterback of the future, and they have a wide receiver, a good piece to go with them. And at pick 10, the New York Jets, I think they are seriously contemplating taking an offensive tackle here. But I go ahead and grab tight end Brock Bowers out of Georgia for him instead. I think it's a good move for a team that has a Hall of Fame quarterback that, you might think you're going to win now kind of mode. And so Brock Bowers is one of those. You can get a lot of production out of him pretty quick. So that's the top 10. If you're a fan of any of those teams, let me know what you would have done differently. I just look at the board. I try to imagine what teams may need. I think about trading down for a lot of teams. If I get to a spot where I'm debating on players and I see a player that I know another team would want, and then that's how I do it. So let me know. All right, let's pull up the next 5. At pick 11 is supposed to be the Los Angeles Chargers, but Atlanta decides to trade back up. Atlanta was at 15 after their trade down, and Atlanta picked up enough pieces where they figured, hey, I can make another move now. The guy that they wanted at pick 8 is still there. So Atlanta goes ahead and pulls this trade off with the Chargers. Atlanta's going to get the 11th pick. They're going to give the Chargers the 15th pick. They're also going to give the Chargers a 3rd-round pick, pick 74, and a future 4th-rounder. Now, Atlanta acquired that 4th-rounder to move down earlier, and they picked up an extra 2nd. So now, basically, they're going to just trade that 4th back to the Chargers and give them a 3rd-rounder. So, essentially, in the end, what Atlanta has done is they traded down and picked up an extra 2nd and a 4th. Then they traded that 4th away and a 3rd to go back into the very top of the 1st round, the 11th pick. So when it's all said and done, Atlanta picks up a 2nd-round pick, basically improving on that 3rd-round pick 74, going all the way up to 46, and, doesn't cost them anything. They make 2 moves, and yeah, I think Atlanta comes out pretty good in the end. They end up with a 2nd-rounder instead of a 3rd-rounder. They end up trading away a 6th-rounder, but they still get their man at pick 11. And it's not Dallas Turner. Atlanta goes with edge rusher Jared Verse out of Florida State. I could be wrong here. They could go Dallas Turner. Pick 12 comes up for the Denver Broncos, and I know Sean Payton never trades down, but I think this is the year they should do it, much like the Saints, who never trade down. I think this is the year they should do it. But Denver's going to go ahead and do it. They have a player with the Jacksonville Jaguars who want pick 12, and Denver figures they can trade back. They don't have a lot of picks, just like the Saints this year. They need a quarterback. It's a little rich to grab one at 12. You don't want to miss your guy. But the deal is with Jacksonville, and here's how it goes down. Denver's going to move down from pick 12 to pick 17. They're going to get a 2nd-round pick from Jacksonville. They also wanted a 4th-round pick from Jacksonville. Jacksonville wasn't having it. So Denver decides to trade their 3rd-round pick, 76, and get Jacksonville's 3rd-round pick, 96. And that's going to allow Jacksonville to throw in that fourth. So Denver moves down 5 spots from pick 12 to pick 17. They pick up a second and a fourth. And all they have to do is swap thirds. So they move down 20 spots in the third round, but they're able to pick up a second rounder and a fourth rounder. I think it's a really good move for Denver. I don't think anybody's going to mess with their precious Bo Nix in the next 5 picks. And so I think Sean Payton shouldn't be an idiot with this, and he should do this. I think Denver would be happy if they get their quarterback in the end. And quite honestly, they could really draft any quarterback, and Denver would probably be happier than what they are right now at what they have. It's the way I look at it. I think it's a great move for Denver. And Jacksonville's able to go up to pick 12, and they get who they want, cornerback Terrion Arnold out of Alabama. Now's when it gets interesting. Las Vegas gets on the clock, and they run up with the card, and they're taking edge rusher Dallas Turner. He's the best player on the board by far, according to the Raiders. They don't need edge rush help, but they go ahead and grab Dallas Turner anyway. Do I expect the Raiders to screw their draft up? Probably. I expect the Saints to screw up at some point, too. Does Vegas need Dallas Turner? Well, they got him now. Perhaps they'll play him at linebacker. We'll see what happens. If that's your Raiders pick right there, please, if you're a Raiders fan, tell me who you would have gone for. Tell me where I got it wrong, because Dallas Turner's the best player on the board. The Raiders are probably interested in defensive help as well as offensive help. I think of the head coach. Don't know what he wants to do, but if you have Dallas Turner as a top 5 guy and you're picking at 13, grab him. Glad they did, because I don't want the Saints to get him. And with pick 14, the Saints are lucky. They have their choice of the best left tackle available, Fashanu, who's going to work out great, or Talise Fuanga, who's going to work out at right tackle and work out great. The Saints go ahead and draft Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. And, yeah, we'll see what happens with Trevor Penning. Now the Chargers are finally going to pick at pick 15, and they get a right tackle, Talise Fuanga. I know Harbaugh wants to run the ball. The Saints are going to have to run the ball to be successful in this new scheme we're doing. We grabbed the good pass blocking left tackle. And, yeah, maybe the Chargers made the best move here. Fuanga is going to be great as a run-blocking right tackle, which is something the Saints need, too. All right, let's pick up the next 5. The Seattle Seahawks go ahead and take offensive lineman Troy Fautanu. Come here, Belle. Hi, baby. My Belle boys, come and see me. And that's a good pick for Seattle. They need help all along the offensive line, and they have a piece. They have a flexible piece. Denver picks at 17, and they get the guy they wanted all along anyway. So good job, Denver. You didn't lose a third-round pick. You picked up a second-rounder and a fourth-rounder, and you still get your quarterback in Bo Nix. Good job, Denver. With pick 18, the Cincinnati Bengals have a choice between offensive linemen or the best defensive tackle on the board, and they go for it with Byron Murphy out of Texas. Pick 19 belongs to the Los Angeles Rams, and they're going to go with edge rusher Laiatu Latu. They thought about going Johnny Newton to take Aaron Donald's place, but a lot of pressure for a defensive tackle to come in and take that guy's spot right away, especially if you're a first-round pick. I don't know if that's going to sway them one way or the other. I think somebody out there is in love with Laiatu Latu, and why not be the hometown team in the Rams? They go ahead and take Latu. And with the 20th pick, Pittsburgh drafts offensive tackle Amarius Mims. It's going to be a good fit for the Steelers. They need offensive line help big time. I like the pick. All right, let's pull up the next 5. And we've got at pick 21, the Miami Dolphins, who want offensive line help as well. And they go ahead and grab defensive tackle Johnny Newton because they can use some help on the line, defensive line as well. Newton's a great player. I think he's slightly better than Murphy, and this would be a steal for the Dolphins. At pick 22, the Philadelphia Eagles could go all sorts of ways, and I think they need a cornerback, honestly, but I've been told by lots of Eagles fans, we don't need a cornerback. So you don't need one? Fine. I'm going to give you an edge rusher and Chop Robinson. You guys like those tweener edge rushers, don't you? You want to try to work them somewhere, maybe linebacker or something. I don't know. Maybe a stand-up linebacker. Maybe he takes the end on the line. Who knows? But you guys get Chop, and he's an athlete. And there you go, Eagles fans. Do something with him. All right, at pick 23, used to be Minnesota's pick, but it belongs to the Chargers now, and they go crazy. Chargers could go all kinds of ways, and I almost pulled the trigger on Graham Barton because I think Harbaugh is going to want to solidify that offensive line. What can make Justin Herbert better than more protection? A little longer to throw the ball. I think Herbert's one of those guys where if he has a second longer to throw the ball, he can make a lot of receivers out there look better than they actually are. He can look a lot better than he actually did last year if they can block up front. And yeah, Harbaugh grabs the center and Jackson Powers Johnson. Now, whether he wants to move him to guard or not, I don't know. There's going to be some shuffling along the line. But I'm convinced that the Chargers are going to trade down a couple of times, and I'm convinced they're going to address offensive line with all the early picks. Their first two picks. If you Chargers fans don't like it, I'm sorry. If you do like it, but you don't like the player, let me know about it. But Jackson Powers Johnson goes to the Chargers. I think it's insanity. Why did I do it? I don't know. Because I think that's what Harbaugh is going to do. I think that's what Justin Herbert needs more than anything. Protection up front. So at pick 24, the Dallas Cowboys, you could have got center, but you didn't. But you go ahead and grab an offensive tackle in J.C. Latham. He's a guy I would consider drafting early in the first round, so I think Dallas would be good with this. And Green Bay picks at pick 25, and they are the ones that are going to grab Graham Barton, one of the best offensive linemen in the draft. He can play everywhere along the line, and Green Bay can figure it out and put him wherever they need him. I'm bummed because I was hoping Barton would fall into the second round. I would love for him to be the Saints' second-round pick, but this is the way it goes. And that wraps up your top 25. And now we're going to finish out the first round with these last 7. So Tampa Bay at pick 26 grabs cornerback Nate Wiggins. I don't know if he's been selected by the Buccaneers in a lot of mocks before, but I think where the Buccaneers are, you see, the Bucs have a good cornerback right now, and I think he looks really good in the nickel. So I think if you grab a third, fourth cornerback and you just make that work. Saints play Tampa Bay twice a year. They could use all kinds of help. They won the division. They're a playoff team. So I go ahead and give them Nate Wiggins. Y'all are lucky. At pick 27, Arizona sticks and picks, and they grab defensive back Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. Tampa Bay fans, you let me know. Would you rather have Nate Wiggins or Cooper DeJean? I gave y'all Wiggins, and I'm giving DeJean to Arizona. At pick 28, the Buffalo Bills grab wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. A lot of people think Buffalo's going to be more interested in maybe someone else down the line, in my opinion, a Troy Franklin, a Xavier Worthy, something like that. I like to fit with Brian Thomas Jr. Why pick somebody that's not as good as the best guy left on the board at the position? That's how I'm going to go. Buffalo, for months now, I've been projecting they were going to take Brian Thomas Jr., and I don't change here. Pick 29 is the Detroit Lions, and they look at the board, and they really have two choices here. Darius Robinson at defensive end, or the best cornerback left in Kool-Aid McKinstry. If I was Detroit, I would trade that pick to the Saints for Marshawn Lattimore, because I would rather have a 27-year-old Marshawn Lattimore who can tackle and who only missed games in the last 2 seasons. Other than that, he's been really sturdy, one of the best cornerbacks in the league at 27 years old. Or you want to go ahead and grab a guy in Kool-Aid McKinstry who's just a couple of years younger, but who ain't as good of a tackler, who's not as good of a cornerback. It's up to you, Detroit. But I'm going to go ahead and give Detroit Kool-Aid McKinstry. People think I'm crazy. No one would take Lattimore with a first-round pick. You got to look at the history and yada, yada, yada. And Lattimore, you'll be lucky to get a third-rounder for Lattimore. Well, Detroit will be lucky to have that one piece filled with Kool-Aid McKinstry and expect to advance to the Super Bowl. Marshawn Lattimore, maybe. Kool-Aid McKinstry, yeah, not so much. That's where I stand. Detroit, you should have sent your pick to us. At pick 30, the Baltimore Ravens are going to take offensive tackle Tyler Guyton. With pick 31, the San Francisco 49ers take wide receiver A.D. Mitchell, and that's the guy I want, and I'm looking at a Kubiak system for the Saints, being kind of similar to Shanahan, which means I want a big slot that can run block. And San Fran's going to get it. Now they have Brian Ayuk. He's going to be our Brandon Ayuk, and he's going to have a contract year in the next year or two. So I'm jealous of San Fran for grabbing this guy. And with the last pick in the first round, the Kansas City Chiefs select Xavier Worthy, wide receiver out of Texas. That's how the first round ends up. I think the craziest thing that I offered here is that Atlanta trades down, that the Chargers trade down twice and address offensive line with both picks that they get in the first round. And I like that Denver still got their guy and picked up extra picks. And I think that Philadelphia is crazy. And I think that the Raiders are crazy. And there you go. All right, so second round starts. Carolina Panthers are going to have their pick, and Carolina picks twice at the top of the second round. So here's the first 5 picks in the second round. We got Carolina addressing DB with cornerback Ennis Rakestraw Jr. out of Missouri. Everyone comps a wide receiver. Everyone puts a wide receiver to the Panthers here. There's a lot of depth at wide receiver at the top of the second round. Why not go for the best remaining cornerback who's leaps and bounds, in their opinion, above everyone else on the board, and grab a wide receiver with your second round pick? Carolina's taking a chance, but they get a really good piece at cornerback. And yeah, Carolina's strength has always been their defense, and if you don't keep reloading it, you're not going to stay good. All right, pick 34 comes up, and there's an interesting name, the Atlanta Falcons. That's because New England has traded down with Atlanta, and here are the specifics. Atlanta gets pick 34 overall. Atlanta sends New England their 43rd pick in the second round, a 4th round pick, pick 109, and 2 future 7th round picks, both of them next year. New England looked at the board and figured, look, I can pick up an extra pick, still get the guy that I'm interested in. I was hoping to get New England a little bit more, but, you know, this is the second round. That 4th round pick is pretty good from Atlanta. I could have given them a 6th round pick this year instead of 2 future 7s, but, hey, New England's getting extra bodies. And Atlanta is getting the player they targeted at 34 with quarterback Michael Penix Jr. So Atlanta's moved around quite a bit. And I think Atlanta's going to end up better for it. They get Jared Verse in the first round, and now they have quarterback Michael Penix, and they also have pick 46 in the second round still to come. At pick 35, the Arizona Cardinals, who have already grabbed Marvin Harrison Jr. and Cooper DeJean, are going to grab defensive tackle Braden Fisk. And I think Arizona just officially won the draft. Great pick by Arizona. Great utilization of their draft picks. Washington's on the board at 36, and they're going to get on the board at 40 as well. So they have options here, and they're going to go ahead and grab Troy Franklin, wide receiver out of Oregon. They're going to dress receiver early. And the Los Angeles Chargers are back on the clock at pick 37, and they're grabbing wide receiver Ladd McConkey. You didn't go for the tight end you liked. You decided to grab 2 offensive linemen, but you still get a bona fide, sure-handed receiver, somebody that's going to make Herbert's job a lot easier. McConkey can get open quick. Good pick, I think, by Harbaugh and the Chargers. Well, 5, and that's the first 5 of the second round. Let's pull up the next 5 and see what happens here. The Tennessee Titans at pick 38 are going to grab wide receiver Keon Coleman out of Florida State. Tennessee gets the offensive tackle in Joe Alt. And now they get a wide receiver in Keon Coleman. That's 2 players I'd like the Saints to have. Carolina picks at 39, and like I said, they grabbed the cornerback early, and now they address wide receiver with, wouldn't you know it, Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. He's in the region there for Carolina, and Legette's a great player, and the Saints are pissed because, yeah, that's 2 wide receivers we were eyeballing, and Coleman and Legette off the board right there. Well, it's going to make things interesting for us. Washington did grab Troy Franklin at 36, and now at 40, they're going to grab offensive lineman Kingsley Suamataia. And I think Suamataia can play both sides of the line, tackle or guard. Washington's got a nice piece now. Green Bay picks at 41. They went with Graham Barton in the first round. And Green Bay has 2 second-round picks. I wish the Saints had 2 second-round picks because the second round is just full of players that I love. Green Bay's interested in hitting that secondary. They debate on going best safety in the draft, but settle on cornerback Kamari Lassiter. Green Bay is convinced they can get a good safety later on. They want to grab the cornerback. They have a high draft grade on Lassiter. I do too. I think he's fringe first rounder, so good pick by Green Bay. And at 42, the Houston Texans are going to take cornerback T.J. Tampa. Houston traded away their first-round pick. But Houston does have 2 second-round picks, and that's how they spend the first one. They go cornerback T.J. Tampa. A lot of people expected them to go defensive line, which they may do. They may. So, let's pull up the next 5 picks. And now we're going to reveal who my beloved Saints took. At pick 43, this is where Atlanta was. New England traded down. Picked up the extra 4th and a couple of 7th-rounders next year. And New England goes with wide receiver Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. I think he has the ability to play on the outside. He's going to make a great slot receiver, and I think that's a good insurance policy for a quarterback. So how about that, Drake May? We're going to give you Ricky Pearsall to throw to. Las Vegas Raiders are back on the board. They got the edge rusher for some reason. He's going to play linebacker. I'm telling you, that's what the Raiders are going to do with him. And at pick 44, they're going to grab offensive tackle Patrick Paul out of Houston. Patrick Paul is a big monster. I think he plays upright and kind of stiff at times, but I think Paul's going to be a road grader. The Raiders are going to run the ball. Paul's a solid pick at tackle. That was 1 pick before the Saints, and the Saints look at the board and decide, you know what? We already have Fashanu on the left side. We can grab Jordan Morgan, who plays left tackle as well, and we can find a spot for him. Does Trevor Penning bounce to the right side at right tackle? It's possible. It's also very possible that Jordan Morgan can slide inside and play left guard. I think that's a good option. I like grabbing 2 tackles. I love grabbing 2 offensive linemen for the Saints eventually at some point. And you want to make sure you get the tackle right. I think Fashanu's a good pick. And I'm going to go ahead and grab Jordan Morgan. I have a love for Jordan Morgan. I think he's going to fit our system fine. I think he'd be a really good left guard. So that's the option right there. Okay, pick 46 belongs to the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta has already grabbed Jared Verse and Michael Penix Jr., and now they're going to grab wide receiver Roman Wilson out of Michigan. Don't know if that's the size or the body type that they want. They do need wide receivers who can get open. So Roman Wilson's good at that. The New York Giants are very interested in cornerback. Max Melton is a guy that I am very high on. I think at worst he's going to be a stellar nickelback. And the Giants are going to go ahead and grab him here. So the Giants have Malik Neighbors. And now they add cornerback Max Melton. Let's pull up the next 5 picks. And here's where Denver scores. You didn't have a second-round pick before, but you do now because you traded down Sean Payton. And you still got Bo Nix in the first round. So instead of having to wait till the 3rd round, you're going to grab a guy here in defensive end, Darius Robinson, who fell pretty far. Lots of teams picking in the 2nd round could be interested in Darius Robinson. If your team has picked already and you are interested in Darius Robinson, let me know. Denver. See what can happen if you trade down Sean Payton. You still get the crazy athletic defensive end that you normally would have spent 3 first-rounders on. Instead, you trade back and still got a quarterback and that dude. So there you go. At pick 49, the Cincinnati Bengals do address offensive tackle after getting Byron Murphy in the 1st round. And they grab offensive tackle Blake Fisher. Good move. Fisher out of Notre Dame. Plays the right side. I think he's good enough to switch sides if he needs to. Cincinnati likes him. At pick 50, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to address offensive line with interior lineman Zach Frazier. He doesn't fit the Eagles. What's going on here? Well, does Chop Robinson fit the Eagles? I don't know. Does Zach Frazier? I don't know. Could. Find a spot for him. I think Frazier can play a guard position if you need him. Philadelphia has a pick a couple of picks later. So they decide to address interior offensive lineman right here. Pittsburgh picks at 51, and they grab my favorite defensive tackle in Chris Jenkins. That breaks my heart. Good pick by Pittsburgh. Jenkins out of Michigan. The Chargers are on the board again. Man, oh man, the Chargers are just racking up. They got 2 offensive linemen. Now they have a wide receiver. And at pick 52, they grab linebacker Edgerrin Cooper. Some say the best linebacker in the class out of Texas A&M. Man, that would piss Junior off so bad if that happened. I mean, why didn't he just grab Junior Colson? I could have put Colson there. It could have felt right. And the very next pick, Philadelphia takes Junior Colson. So what do you guys think? You think Harbaugh stays true to Colson or he grabs another guy in Cooper? He probably stays true to Colson, and Philadelphia ends up grabbing Cooper. So I think if I redid it, I might swap that around. I think Peyton Wilson's the best linebacker out of the bunch, and I think Cooper's a good, solid number 2 ahead of Colson. So you don't take the injury chance with Wilson. But if you want to swap those 2 linebackers, I'm fine with that. Cleveland finally has a pick at 54. And Cleveland's going to grab the best player on the board, which is Chris Braswell, the edge rusher out of Alabama. Does Cleveland need an edge rusher? Probably not as much as other things. But when you don't pick till the bottom of the 2nd round, I think you grab the best player available, especially if you're a team that's in need of a few things. Okay, so after Cleveland at 55, Miami is on the board. Miami went defensive tackle in the first round, so they're going to grab an offensive lineman here. And Kieran Amagaji is a good option for either side of the line, tackle or guard. So Miami can plug and play him, which would be a good idea for him. Dallas is the first team to take a running back. They grab local boy Jonathan Brooks from Texas. I think this is exactly where Brooks needs to go. And I think it feels right. And in Tampa Bay, breaks everybody's heart for New Orleans by grabbing wide receiver Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky. Man, what a good pick. Tampa Bay's going to find a spot for him, utilize him, get the ball out of Baker's hands fast, have yourself a yak guy. I'm jealous. And now here are the last 7 picks to round out the second round. Green Bay gets back on the clock in the second round. They grabbed Kamari Lassiter earlier in the draft to go along with Graham Barton. And now they're grabbing the best safety in Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota. So Green Bay's got 2 secondary pieces now. Houston is back on the clock, and they had grabbed T.J. Tampa before. Now they're going Jatavian Sanders. I mean, C.J. Stroud's a great quarterback. You get him Jatavian Sanders, and I know, Houston's got plenty of receivers. They might not even need a tight end. Well, Sanders is a flex player, so I would grab him at this spot in the draft. The rich get richer here. Buffalo at pick 60 surprises everybody possibly by taking a running back, and I'm going with Trey Benson out of Florida State. Detroit, who decided to go cornerback with McKinstry instead of trading it to the Saints for Lattimore, are going to grab an edge rusher now in a big boy in Marshawn Nealon, who's like, 265, 275, 75, I think so. Detroit's known for getting that big ends, we know. I swear Aaron Glenn wants Marshawn Lattimore. I'm still keeping my hopes up for that, Detroit. With pick 62, the Baltimore Ravens go wide receiver with Jalen Polk. He doesn't get a lot of love in these mocks, but I think he's a solid guy. He's in my top 7 wide receivers, 6, 7 wide receivers. So Baltimore's lucky to have a big body, I think. I think that's what their quarterback needs more than anything. A guy you can just throw it up to. They got a few pieces, and so now they have Polk. At pick 63, well, San Francisco can't help themselves but grab Christian Haynes because I love him out of UConn. I debated on grabbing him with my 45th pick. Of course, San Fran's going to grab him because they are going to grab him. So Christian Haynes goes to the 49ers, and they're going to add Christian Haynes to Donnie Mitchell, and yeah, the NFC champions are getting better by the pick. And I round out the second round by drafting Ruke Orhorhoro for the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, they just re-signed their nose tackle Jones. I mean, their 3-tech Jones or wherever Jones plays. And I know that Kansas City won the Super Bowl with a plug-and-play defensive tackle. They go ahead and grab a piece now. Buttons, that's my Buttons boy. They go ahead and grab a piece to put right in the middle of it with Jones. And Orhorhoro, who's going to be great. All right, that is my mock draft. 2 rounds, 2024. If you're a fan, let me know. The draft is in a couple of days. Not sure if I would submit this list of first-round projections for the Bud Light contest or if they even have that anymore. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments. My biggest disappointment is not trading down for the Saints. But there you go, 2-round mock, my first ever for the NFL. And if you like NFL mock drafts, you will see me doing this again next year. And until the next one, If you're a Saints fan, subscribe to Rosenfield 10, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.